Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen Muhammadu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam tasliman kathiran kathira. My brothers and sisters, we are on our lesson from the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, looking at the time before he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to Medina Munawwara himself. Now, after the Baytun Nisa with the people of Medina, or Yathrib, really, that was the name of the town, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Musab bin Umair radiallahu anhu to go and teach Islam to the people of Medina. Now, Musab bin Umair radiallahu anhu was an amazing human being, and his story is famous. He was from a very wealthy and powerful family in Makkah, from the Quraysh, and his mother literally doted on him. So she lavished every luxury and wealth on him. Musab ibn Umair was like a fashion icon in Makkah. People watched what he wore. They said that he was very fond of perfume, so if he passed down a street or down a lane and you went on that road, on that lane, after some time you would still smell his perfume wafting on the breeze. So he was also very handsome. He had a beautiful voice. He had an amazingly powerful personality. So he was, he was an icon to the people of Makkah. Musab ibn Umair accepted Islam, and when he accepted Islam, everything, his whole world changed. He was at that time maybe about 17 or something like that, 16, 17 years old, so young guy. His mother tried to persuade him to leave Islam, and when he refused, she had him locked up, imprisoned, and that went on for some time. But he refused to leave Islam, and his mother then told him, and she thought to herself that, okay, all of this games he's playing because he has literally money to burn, so I'm going to shut off all the funds and then see how much he loves Islam and what he does. So she said to him that if you do not leave Islam, then I am going to throw you out of my house, and you will lose everything you have. So Musab bin Umair radiallahu anhu, he said to her, you do whatever you like to do, but I will not leave Islam. His mother literally did that. She chucked him out of the house. And as he was leaving, she said, no, leave your clothes, because even the clothes you are wearing, I paid for them. So take off your clothes. She let him go with just a winding sheet, like a lungi around his waist. That's it. Nothing else. Completely and totally deprived of his wealth. Now, Musab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu was one of the greatest students of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a beautiful reciter of the Quran. He had memorized all the Quran which had been revealed until that time. So he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Musab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu to Medina as his ambassador. He was the personal representative of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there he used to lead Salah, because the Aus and Khazraj, who had, those of the Muslims of the Aus and Khazraj who had accepted Islam, there still was so much enmity between them that they would not pray behind an Imam from either tribe. So if there was an Ausi Imam, the Khazraj would not pray, and if it was a Khazraji Imam, then the Aus would not pray behind him. So Musab bin Umair radiallahu anhu became the Imam of both of them. Now one day, Musab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu was with As'ab bin Zurara, who was his host in Medina. And they went to, like you do Gasht, they went to meet some Muslims. They went and As'ab bin Zurara was his guide, and he was his host. So he took him there. He took him to a place, to a garden, which was in the territory of Al-Aus. Um, Now, Asad bin Zurara said to him that this is the garden of Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, who is the chief of Aus. And he says Sa'ad bin Mu'adh is a great warrior, he is a great chief. He is so powerful that if he accepts Islam, the entire tribe of Aus will accept Islam. So, I am taking you there. So they went there and they were sitting in this garden. You know, they had this, they used to have this, in Urdu we call it chabutra, which is, there would be a platform built around a tree. So people would sit around on this platform in the shade of the tree, and in the evening people would sit there and they would talk about the day and so on and drink tea and whatnot. So similar kind of thing, there was this platform. So Musab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu, Asad ibn Zurara radiallahu anhu, and then of course some other people gathered, so there were some people there and so on, and Musab ibn Umair was talking to them. Now while this was happening, Sa'ad bin Mu'adh and Usayd bin Khudayr. Now later on Usayd bin Khudayr became one of the greatest and most beautiful reciters of the Quran. And Sa'ad bin Mu'adh became one of the biggest of the companions of Rasulullah. Anyway, so at that time both of these were not Muslim. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh and Usayd bin Khudayr, they were standing there and they were seeing what was happening. They saw this, they saw Asad bin Zurara along with this stranger from Makkah. They knew that this stranger was here. That stranger was Musab bin Umair. They come there, they sit there, and some other people gather and so on. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, he said to Usayd bin Khudayr, he said, go and tell those people to stop misguiding the weak-minded among us. Right? So tell them to leave. Right? Tell them to leave. Tell them to get out. He said, I would have done it myself, but Asad bin Zurara is my relative. So Asad bin Zurara was his cousin, right? He was his son of his khala, mother's sister. So he said, I don't want to, argue with him. So, but you go and you say that I have said that they should go and he should not be here. So you go and do it. Now, Usayd bin Khudayr took his spear. These people, in those days, everyone was, personal arms were part of your dress. So you had a sword, you had a spear or some such thing with you. So Usayd bin Khudayr took his spear and they went towards Musab, and he went towards Musab bin Umair and Asad bin Zurara. Now Asad bin Zurara, he saw him coming and he said to Musab bin Umair, he is a leader of the people. So be sincere with him. If he accepts Islam, his people will also accept. Because these were all, tribal leaders, and the kind of power they had is impossible for us today to imagine. Usayd bin Khudayr came there, and as soon as he came there, he threatened them, he said, get out of here, you have no business being here, and so on and so on. So one of the people in that halaqah, he started arguing with him, but Musab bin Umair radiallahu anhu, he stopped him. And he said to Usayd bin Khudayr, he said, why don't you sit down and listen to what I have to say. If you like it, you accept it. If you don't like it, you can reject it, and then I will go. He said, I've come all this way. So, what can it harm you? Just to listen to me for a few minutes. So Usayd bin Khudayr agreed. He said, okay, it sounds reasonable. He put his spear in the, stabbed his spear in the ground. He sat down. And Musab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu started reciting Quran. That's it, he just recited Quran. He said, this is what Muhammad ﷺ has brought. This is what Islam is. The worship of Allah alone. And then Muhammad ﷺ is the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the last and final of them. And this is what he brought, and he recited Quran. Now, Asad bin Zurara said that Usayd bin Khudayr did not say a single word. But he said from his face I could see Islam entering his heart. And when Musab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu finished his recitation, Usayd bin Khudayr simply said, how does one enter your religion? What do I have to do to enter your religion? Musab ibn Umair said, go and wash, take a bath, and come and pray and enter your religion. enter our religion. So he did that. He went, he took a bath and so on, he came, he prayed. And then he said, I am now going to send you a man, and if he enters your religion, all the people will follow him. So by that he meant Sa'ad bin Mu'adh. So he then went to Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, radiallahu anhu. At that time he was not a Muslim, so he went to Sa'ad bin Mu'adh. Later on, Sa'ad bin Mu'adh said that when I saw him coming back to me, I knew that something had changed in him. This was a man coming to us with a different face, with a different face from that which he left us with. So, but Usayd bin Khudayr, he went to Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, and he did a little ruse, a little bit of deception. Because if he told him, go and listen to that man, he wouldn't do that. So he said to him, Banu Harith want to kill Asad bin Zurara because he is your cousin. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh got angry, he picked up his spear and he angrily went to the meeting to defend his cousin. But when he reached there, he realized that there is nobody attacking his cousin. He realized that this story was not true. And he said to Asad bin Zurara, why are you doing this to me? He said, why are you doing this to me? You are taking advantage of our relationship. You're my mother's sister's son, you're my cousin, and because of that you are taking advantage of that. Musa bin Umair said to him the same thing which he said to Usayd bin Hudayr. He said to him, why don't you listen to me? Please sit, just listen to me, and if you like what I have to say, you can accept it, otherwise you're free to reject it, and then I will leave. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh also said, okay, what can it harm me? What difference does it make? Listen to the man, he's here from a long way off. So he sat down. And Asad bin Zurara radiallahu anhu says that Musa bin Umair radiallahu anhu started reciting Quran. And he said when he finished, I could see from his face that Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu wanted to enter Islam. He said his face changed. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh accepted Islam. Now, this Sa'ad bin Mu'adh dawah, see how he gives dawah. And again, before you get inspired to do it this way, remember this works only if you have that kind of clout, if you have that kind of reputation and power with the people. So don't try it unless you have that. Sa'ad bin Mu'adh accepted Islam. Then he went to his people, he called all the people. And then he said to them, what do you think of me? What's your opinion of me? They said, we love you. You are the wisest among us. You are our leader. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh said to them, if that is the case, then I will not speak to any one of you unless you accept Islam. He said, don't talk to me, and I will not talk to you unless you accept Islam. The narrator of the hadith of this story says that by that evening, every house in Banu Ashhal was Muslim. And Banu Ashhal was the most important branch of Al-Aus. And by the time of the following Hajj, there was not a single house among the Arabs in Medina which did not have a Muslim in it. That year, more than 70, remember previous year only 12 people came. This year more than 70 men and 2 women were in the group going from Medina for Hajj. Al-Bara bin Ma'rur was the leader of the Muslims, and Ka'b bin Malik, his nephew, he said, my uncle Al-Bara bin Ma'rur came to us and he said, I have an idea and I want your opinion. He said, I don't feel comfortable turning my back to this building in prayer, so I want your opinion. Building meaning the Kaaba. So they said to him that Rasulullah prays towards Jerusalem, Masjid al-Aqsa, so let us not contradict him, let's not do our own thing. Al-Bara bin Ma'rur, he said, I will pray towards the Kaaba. Now, so he prayed towards the Kaaba, some people prayed with him and some people continued to pray towards Baitul Maqdis, which was how Rasulullah used to pray in those days. Now when they reached Makkah, Al-Bara bin Ma'rur said to his nephew, Ka'b bin Malik, he said, let us go to Rasulullah and ask him if what I was doing was right or wrong. I am disturbed by your disapproval. He said, you don't like what I am doing, I don't like that, so let's go check. Now Rasulullah said to Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, Abul Fadl, do you know these two men? Al-Abbas introduced them. He said, Rasulullah, this is the Ka'b bin Malik and this is his uncle, Bara bin Marur. Rasulullah said, do you mean the poet Ka'b? Because Ka'b was a poet, Radiyallahu anhu. Ka'b bin Malik said, I will swear by Allah, I will never forget that statement for all of my life. You know, to be recognized for what you do, and that also by somebody like Rasulullah beyond whom there is no one. I mean, that's an honor. It's an honor beyond description. It's honor beyond description. Alhamdulillah, I have this beautiful feeling and memories of being recognized in different places for my lectures, for my books and so on by people, and it's a wonderful feeling that somebody read your stuff, somebody listened to you, somebody recognizes you. Imagine if that person recognizing is Rasulullah ﷺ. I mean, how must Ka'b bin Malik have felt? So he said, I swear by Allah, I will never forget that statement for all of my life. Al-Abbas radiyallahu anhu said, yes, and Al-Bara told him about his prayer. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked him, is this the poet? Al-Abbas said, yes. So Al-Bara told him about his prayer. He said, I was praying in the direction of the Kaaba and asked Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for his opinion. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, but you already had a Qibla and you should have kept to it. What was the need to change it? So Al-Bara changed his direction of prayer back to Jerusalem. Ka'b bin Malik said, we left for Hajj with the agreement that we would meet at Al-Aqaba in the Ayyamut Tashriq. Now, Al-Aqaba was the mountain pass. They were meeting in secret. They decided that they would keep it a secret, and none of the non-Muslims in our group knew about it except Abu Jabir. So we said to him, they said to Abu Jabir, he said, you are one of our leaders. We want you to give up your practices or you will become the fuel of the hellfire. So he accepted Islam and he came with us to the meeting. This is Ka'b bin Malik speaking. So he said, in the night, we went in ones and twos because we didn't want the Quraysh to know what was going on until we all gathered in Al-Aqaba. And this was 70 men and 2 women. When we were all there, Rasulullah came, and with him came Al-Abbas. Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib was the only non-Muslim in the meeting, and some of the Mufassirin have said that he had actually accepted Islam, but he had not declared it. Wallah. So he spoke first. He said, you know the position that Muhammad ﷺ has with us. He said, you know the position that he has with us. He has our protection and he is safe in his town. He now wants to join you. If you are sincere in your promise to protect him and support him, then it is up to you to stand by your promise. If you intend to take him and abandon him and give him up to his enemies, then leave him now. Don't take him with you. So Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib was trying to get a firm commitment from the people of Medina. Now, why was Al-Abbas doing this? Because when Abu Talib passed away, Al-Abbas was also an uncle of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he gave him his protection. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was under the protection of Abu Talib, and when he passed away, Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib gave him his protection. So he was one of the leaders of the Banu Hashim, and so he wanted to make sure that their son, his nephew, was well protected. These people from Medina, who we shall call Al-Ansar, because that was the name that they earned and it was given to them, and that's the honor that was given to them by Allah and His Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They said, Al-Ansar said, we have heard what Al-Abbas said. He said, oh Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, please speak to us and please ask us and tell us what you want from us, and take whatever you want from us for yourself and your Rabb. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stood up. Now just listen to these words and put yourself, and I put myself in that place, and say, what would we have done if we had been there? Sometimes I really, I'm not sometimes, all the time, I am very happy that I was born when I was born, in the family that I was born, and that I did not have to actually make any of these choices. It's easy to feel that, oh, mashallah, these people, their position and so on, but remember, they made those choices and they paid for those choices in many cases with their lives. the same Musab ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, one of the wealthiest of the Quraysh, he lost everything because he chose Islam. And he never got that wealth back. He never got that wealth back. He remained in Medina, and in the battle of Uhud, he was killed. He was shaheed. And when he was shaheed in the battle of Uhud, when Rasulullah, after the battle was over, they were finding the bodies. When Nabi saw his body, he wept. And Musab ibn Umayr was a tall man. They did not have a cloth to make a coffin for him. And when the cloth they found, and they tried to cover his body, if they covered the head, the feet would be exposed. If they covered the feet, the head would be exposed. So Rasulullah said, cover the head and put some leaves on the feet. This was Musab bin Umayr. So imagine, this is the kind of faith the Sahaba had. He made a choice, he gave up everything, and he did not see victory in his life. Right? He died in the battle. But wallahi, subhanallah, today one of the people to whom we owe our Islam is this Musab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu. So easy to talk about Sadaqah Jariyah, this, that. Very difficult when we have to make the choices. So for myself, I'm very happy Allah did not put me in a situation where I had to make any of these choices. Allah gave it all to me. To return to our story, they asked Rasulullah, they said, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell us what you want from us. And take from us what you need for your Rabb and your deen. Rasulullah said, I ask you to pledge that you will defend me like you defend your own families, your own women and children. You must pledge to hear and obey in good times and bad times, in times of action and no action. And you must pledge to give, when I ask you to give money, time, whatever, you must pledge to give in times of ease and hardship. And you must pledge to advocate good and forbid evil, Amar bil Maruf and Nahi al Munkar. And you must speak out for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not fear any blame for speaking for Allah. And you must help and defend me if I come to you in the same way that you help and defend your wives and children. Right? So this is the pledge that Nabi SAW mentioned to the Ansar. And let me repeat that. Pledge to hear and obey, Samayana Vata, we hear, we obey, in times of action and no action, no matter what, good times, bad times. To give in times of ease and hardship. To advocate good and forbid evil. To speak out for Allah and not fear any blame for speaking out for Allah. To help and defend Rasulullah to if he came to them for help. Al-Bara bin Maruf, who was their leader, he stood up and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I swear it, we are warriors from father to son for many generations. Abu al-Haytham stood up and he said, Ya Rasulullah, we have some ties to some people and we are afraid that if Allah gives you victory, then you may leave us and return to your people. Rasulullah said, I am of you and you are of me. I will battle those, I will fight those who fight against you, and I will be at peace with those who are at peace with you. Asad bin Zurara radiallahu anhu, he stood up and he said, slowly, hold on. We only came here because we know that he is the messenger of Allah. But now if we take him with us, we will be boxed in with swords all around us. So if you have any fear in your hearts, leave him now. That is better for you. So they pushed him away. And then they said, we are ready to support him and we will be with him to the end. Then they said to him, and this is the punchline, then they said to him, Ya Rasulullah, what will you give us if we support you with our lives and our wealth? What will you give us if we support you with our life and our wealth? He said only one word. He said Jannah. Jannah. right? Jannah. The response of the Ansar was, what a bargain. They said, what a wonderful deal. What a profitable deal. Jannah. Here he is asking for their lives and wealth in this world, and he is promising them something that they cannot see. This is the essence of Iman bil Ghaib, my brothers and sisters. I remind myself and you, subhanAllah. Right? This is the essence of Iman. Iman bil Ghaib. The Quraysh heard about this meeting and they went to Al-Aus and Khazraj and they said, we heard that you have met Muhammad and offered him protection, and we want to take him, and you want to take him with you. He said, you are the last people in the world whom we want to fight. So tell us, is this true? The non-Muslims among them, they refuted this and they said, we did not meet Muhammad. And obviously they were speaking the truth because they did not meet him. The Muslims remained silent and they said nothing. Ka'b bin Malik said, we understood our religion and knew our prayers even before Rasulullah came to us. And that was the contribution of Musab ibn Umayr. The big lesson here is, do not put off learning about your religion. Number one. Number two, do the work of Islam, especially the work of Dawah, for Jannah alone. Don't take money for it. Number three, to understand that this deen, this religion needs sacrifice, and really by sacrifice I mean investment. It needs investment of our lives and our wealth into the propagation of this deen for Jannah. Jannah is not cheap. We have to buy Jannah by our wealth and by our lives. And remember that, as I mentioned to you about Musab ibn Umayr, many people of that generation, they did not see the victories which came later. Yet they were delighted to be the foundation of the building which was built on them, the building of Islam and the deen of Muhammad. The thing about this, the reality is that the biggest, the most magnificent building, the most magnificent structure, the most magnificent masjid or whatever, stands on a foundation. And in that foundation are rocks. If you look at the magnificent building, there are also rocks on the facing, marble and granite and whatnot, polished, which are decorative. You look at them, you say, subhanAllah, how beautiful it looks. That is also a rock, and the rock in the foundation is also a rock. But remember, if every rock wants to be only on the facing of the building, there will never be any building which can stand. The only way that a magnificent building will stand and remain strong is if some of the rocks in the world say that we are prepared to go into the foundation, to be buried, never to be seen again, so that on our shoulders the building can stand. This is essential. I'm not talking about here physical buildings. I'm talking about Islam especially, and I'm talking about any kind of endeavor of this kind. Unless people are willing to invest into the foundation without counting how much investment, as much as it takes. What kind of investment? Whatever it takes. Unless people are willing to do that, nothing will happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah then, and this is what the Sahaba did. This is exactly what they did. Many of the first generation, they died before the Futuhat. They died before the victories that we saw in the time of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, the Rashidun time. Many of them passed away before that. Yet, without their contribution, without their investment, there would be no Islam in the world. They are the people who established Islam and who spread Islam. Rasulullah appointed 12 leaders among the Ansar, and they were called the Nuqaba. These were the people who were like the pillars, who were to report to Rasulullah, who would give them instructions. Rasulullah said to them, I was shown the Darul Hijrah, place where I am supposed to be going to, and it is a land with lots of palm trees between two rocky volcanic tracts. Rasulullah changed the name of Yathrib to Al-Madinah, and it is called Al-Madinatul Munawwara, the brilliant city, the city which is full of nur, which is Munawwar. Because when the Prophet Muhammad came to Yathrib, the city became brilliant. I remind myself and you that when the Rasulullah and the Prophet Muhammad comes into our lives, into our hearts, we will become brilliant. We will become munawwar. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our qulub munawwar and full of light of the presence of Rasulullah in our lives, by following his sunnah and by trying to live our lives in ittiba, in emulation of his life. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.